Hey guys, Kim Jong-spoon here, and for today's tank review we're looking at the Jagdtiger 8.8. This is a tier 8 German premium tank destroyer, which is, in all essence, the Jagdtiger with the Tiger 1's gun. So let's take a look at Arm Inspector. So here it is. We can see that the Jagdtiger 8.8 is the Jagdtiger. It is the exact same tank. The hull is the exact same. There's one minor difference. The Jagdtiger doesn't have this armor weak point right here. In the little machine gun port, but other than that, it's the exact same tank, exact same armor profile. So, if you can pen a Jagdtiger, you can pen a Jagdtiger 8.8, and vice versa. The gun and the gun mantlet are the only difference. So, first off, the gun mantlet you should be shooting at, because it's the gun mantlet, but it's a little bit different from the Jagdtiger to the Jagdtiger 8.8, and the gun is much smaller and does less damage, but is much faster firing. But we'll get into that later. So, looking at the armor, we can see that the superstructure is 250 millimeters thick. A little bit of an angle, but not much. The upper hull is 150, and the lower plate is 120, with the 120 millimeter weak point right there in the machine gun port. So, this is the Tiger 2's hull with a 250 millimeter upper superstructure. With that in mind, let's take a look at the penetration from its own gun. So, this is the gun it carries, the 88mm Pak 43 L71. This is the long 88mm gun, and we can see here that through the lower plate is really easy. The upper plate, not so much. However, that machine gun port is a big weak point, and the upper superstructure, you're not going to get through that. Now, if you load APCR, upper plate, lower plate, still the same, and I still wouldn't be shooting at the upper superstructure. It's pretty thick. Now, the tanks you'll have problems with is the ISU 152. So let's take a look at the penetration from the BL10. With normal armor piercing, 92% chance of penetrating the upper superstructure. So, if I know that there's an ISU 152 on the enemy team, then I'm going to be much more careful in how I play this thing, because I don't want to face that thing and get penned almost automatically. Even at a perfect angle, you're still facing an 80% chance of penetration. If it loads APCR, that's a 98% chance of penetration. So, ISU 152s are going to give you problems. T-34s are going to give you problems. A lot of those higher penetration guns. Now, let's take a look at the internal modules of this thing. So, internal crew. Now let's look at some of the internal modules. So we can see here that it does have a forward-mounted transmission. So you're going to get set on fire quite a bit in this tank. Ammo racks are right here on the side of the superstructure. Fuel tank's right in the rear, and then the radio, which doesn't actually do anything, is on the side. So if I'm facing this thing from the front, I want to aim at the upper half of the lower plate, because that's giving me a good chance of setting the engine on fire. The crew, this tank does have 6 crew. We've got a driver, radio operator, gunner, commander, loader, and loader. So, if you're firing at the front of a Jagdtiger, again, lower plate, best option. But if you can pen the upper superstructure, you can aim towards the center, towards the gun mantlet, to try to hit either this commander or the gunner. But again, the gun's accurate enough that it doesn't really matter if you hit the gunner. And I would rather just aim flat at the upper superstructure to increase my chances of actually hitting it, because a lot of the higher penetration guns at this tier are really inaccurate, like the BL10 gun or the gun on the T-34. So, that was the internal crew and modules, and now let's take a look at this thing in the garage. Alright, so now that we're in the garage with the Jagdtiger 8.8, we can see that this thing has a sick camo scheme. That's because this was one of the bundles. It was the Snowstorm Jagdtiger 8.8, and one of the reasons that I chose this over to the T-34 is because at the time, the camo made it so that you didn't get the penetration indicator, so you didn't get the red or gray sections indicating whether you're likely to penetrate or not. However, that's been changed, but it's still a good tank. I probably would have chosen this thing anyways because of its DPM. We'll get into that a little bit later. So, this thing is premium tank, so it's elite. You don't have to research anything. So let's go into equipment. I carry tank gun rammer, gun laying drive, and vents, just to try to get my DPM higher, and so that when I do stop rotating, I can fire as quickly as possible. Ammo, it can carry a lot of ammo. The regular AP shells penetration is a little bit low, so I do carry a healthy stock of APCR. I need to carry some HE to reset caps, even though I find that I'm never using HE at all. Consumables, standard for me, chocolate, and I've got multipurpose restoration pack, and repair kit. The things that I notice get knocked out the most are, well, your tracks, obviously. The gun, not so much, but the engine gets destroyed or set on fire a lot. So I'm almost every single game using this repair kit to make sure my engine's operational, because without the engine, this thing is super slow. And also, we do get set on fire quite a bit. The crew skills that I think are super important for this thing to have, and again, it's kind of hard for you to choose these, but if you do have a choice, camo is really nice because it, well, obviously makes your tank more camoed, and if you don't get spotted in this thing, you can't get shot at in this thing, and that's good for every single tank. Clutch braking is good because this thing has a really slow traverse speed, so if you could get clutch braking, I think that's probably better than camo for this specific vehicle, but overall I think camo's a more important skill. So right now I'm trying to get to camo level 5 because that's for all of your tanks, and you know, 4% for like a medium tank, it doesn't really matter. So I want camo just to make sure that I stay invisible for the longest. So now let's take a look at the gun itself. So it's the 88mm Pak 43 L71, 12.24 rounds per minute. That's incredible. On the Tiger, let's take a look at how fast it fires on the Tiger 1. On the Tiger 1, this thing has a rate of fire of 8.75, so it fires a lot faster than that of the Tiger, which is good. The engine, we've got 700 horsepower, but it weighs 70 tons, so 10 horsepower to ton ratio is pretty low. This thing is slow to move. Traverse speed 22, it's slow to turn. 38 km/h top speed limit. That's only for going downhill. You're not going to get to that speed going on flat ground. Again, the hull armor, we only talked about the front because you should be facing the front of this thing towards the enemy at all times. Sides and rear 80, so don't show anybody your side. And your ammo rack tends to get knocked out if you show people your side. So again, front towards the enemy at all times, which can be a problem because you have a 22 degree per second traverse speed. And let's go back to the gun really quick. Again, penetration 203 with the armor piercing. That's pretty low. 237 is also low for APCR, and 44 with HE. 220 damage and 270 damage with HE, but accuracy is outstanding. 3.1 accuracy, 2-second aim time is fantastic. So German accuracy is in play here. This thing is super accurate, aims super quick, which is really nice because you can angle and then turn to face the enemy, fire, and then angle back, and you don't have to wait for a super long aim time. So now that we've taken a look at this thing in the garage, let's take a look at some replays. Okay, so for our first replay, we're here in the Jagdtiger 8.8 Tier 8 game on dead rail, and this is a really great side and position to start on because just to our right is a great hold down position where you can put the DPM of this gun to work, and we're pretty much impregnable to anyone who tries to penetrate us through our upper plate or through our superstructure. Looking at the tanks they have on their team, they don't have any super big players, tanks with a lot of penetration that we need to worry about, so that's good for us. They do have a lot of tanks with really weak armor that we can just completely punish with this DPM. I do have to apologize for one thing. When I was recording this replay, I didn't turn my ringer. I did turn the vibration on my phone off, so you don't actually have any sound for this replay, but that's why I'm adding some sick music in the background for you guys to enjoy while we punish that Easy 8 over there, tracked him and let our team take him down. Now we're focusing on this M6, and we can penetrate the front of this turret right through the gun manlet every single time. So again, this is a super strong position because our lower plate is covered, and we're also able to give supporting fire to anyone who pushes up this hill. We can track that T-25AT, who's in a terrible position right now because he can't fire, and we can just perma-track him with our DPM, with our rate of fire, and he's taken out by the Fury. So we've done a lot of tracking damage this game. We don't actually have any kills yet, so let's try to fix that situation. Now, this thing isn't super mobile, but you can see we're doing 35 kph down the hill, but as soon as we hit any sort of upslope, that speed is just going to drop dramatically. So this isn't a quick tank. This isn't a quick tank to turn. You're really only about the gun and the armor. You can see this T-150 is completely out of his league because we can track him right there. And we still haven't been spotted by this guy yet. And we're just able to completely punish him. He goes unspotted there, blind fire, and we secure the kill. So that's our first actual kill in this game. However, again, we have done tons of tracking damage, so that's more XP and credits for us. Now, there's 2 heavies left. One of them, the T-32's up by the cap, and the IS-3's up there too, and now we spot the Pershing. So, they're all up there by the cap circle. So let's go support our team and try to prevent them from doing like a fast cap, or try to prevent our team up there from dying. So again, up this hill, 10 kph, that's painfully slow. So, it's really difficult to relocate while you're driving this thing. You really have to read the map, read the enemy tanks, and figure out where you need to be to help support your team. And actually, it's a little bit counterintuitive. With most tank destroyers, you want to be with friendlies to prevent them from circling you, but honestly, you only really need one other dude with you, because if you can hold an entire side of the map, you're going to do a ton of damage. You're going to get a ton of credits, and it's just going to be better for you. So, what I usually do when I'm platooning with Sebastian in his Jagdtiger 8.8, we basically tell them, even in tier 9 games, Jagdtigers hold this side, all else flank. And it works fantastically because we can destroy anybody that comes our way, and then we have a massive force of our tanks that are going around whatever side of the map that we're not on, and they're able to overwhelm any forces there, and we can usually hold this side until they come to circle us. So that's why we both have pretty good win rates in this thing, because we're able to hold a side while our other friendlies flank. So there's a Pershing, T-32, and IS-3. So let's take out the Pershing, because he's on the lowest health and we can two-shot him. And we need some more kills, because those are always important. Until the IS-3 pops up, and how rude is that for getting in our way? So, in flat ground, if we both penetrate, we will kill the IS-3 before he kills us. But an even better thing to do is not let him penetrate and just completely destroy him without taking any damage, which is what our plan is. As you can see, he's going uphill, meaning that his upper plate is flattening out relative to us. So we track him with that shot, and super clutch right through the upper plate, but he pulls back right as we fire the next one. So, we're about to fire the next one. Now he's on 65 health, and I want to secure this kill because I've done the majority, if not all, of the damage to him. And one good thing about a quick reload is if you try to do a 6 snapshot like this and completely bounce, it doesn't matter because the next shell is on the way in about 4 seconds. So secure that kill, and now we're looking at the T-32. So that T-32 average roll, we're going to kill him. Yep, kill him, but he does penetrate and damage our engine. So that's why it's super important to carry a repair kit on this thing, because shots to your lower plate tend to knock out your engine. Let's go to the results screen here, and first class Confederate Sniper, 100,000 credits in 1880, experience non-doubled, 1259 base XP, 24 shots, 23 hits, 19 pens, 3,364 damage. We did spot that easy at the beginning, and we netted 83,000 credits, which is really awesome. So, for our next replay, we're going to head over to Desert Sands. So, tier 8 game, again, and we're on the good side of the map, meaning that we have a really nice overwatch position. If these heavies will stop putzing and get out of the way. Okay, so, this position right here is super good for TDs. Sometimes I go down in this thing, I push forward, but looking at the number of higher tier enemy heavies and TDs, I really don't want to be taking shots to my lower plate. So the farther away that I am, the less likely it is that they're actually going to hit something important like my lower plate. Machine gun port's also a weak point on this thing, but it's pretty hard to hit. It's small, and if you're wiggling, it's almost impossible for them to hit. Also, if you're this far away, unless you're getting shot at by like an E50M or something, which you won't face because this thing has preferential matchmaking, then nothing is going to hit it. So, we have really nice shots at that Jagd Panther and that other Jagdtiger 8.8. And anybody else that pops up on this entire side of the map we can take shots at. So you can see we're aiming for the lower plate there. And I didn't really mention this earlier, but this thing does get preferential matchmaking, so you will never face tier 10s in this thing. That being said, you have to platoon with people who will never face tier 10s. So let's say I platoon with Tiger 2. I can face tier 10 because you're matched up to the tank that has the worst matchmaking. It's the same thing if I get my little tractor and platoon with an E100, it matches me up as a tier 10. Or it matches me up in a game as if I was a tier 10. It matches me up compared to the highest person in our platoon. So don't platoon with people that don't get preferential matchmaking, or platoon with tier 7s. You will drag the tier 7s into tier 8 games every single time, and you can even drag them into tier 9 games, but still you won't face tier 10s, which is nice. Getting back into the game, we can hit that Jagdtiger 8.8's lower plate every single time, and with that shell we did damage his engine. This T-34-85 pushes out, and we just keep firing. That one we tracked and did damage, which is awesome. If we would have tracked him there, we could have secured the kill on him, but that's okay. We've got this M6 who's using his adrenaline, and we damage him instead of tracking right there. This KV5 is being pretty aggressive, so we try to hit him with that one, but we miss. We do get spotted, and that Jagdtiger 8.8 is now trying to put shots into us, but we're far enough away that even his gun isn't going to be accurate enough to hit our lower plate every single time. And this replay was from the patch where you weren't getting penetration indicators. So when that Jagdtiger 8.8 gets respotted, you'll see that there's no gray or red indicating whether I'm likely to penetrate or not, such as that's on the KV5. It's just all gray. So people will say, oh, upper plate, it's gray. I'm going to shoot at that. And then they're going to bounce, and then they're going to get frustrated and confused. Again, KV5, lower plate, damaged our engine. However, we do give a pretty good showing of ourselves by completely punishing him, taking off half of his health with our DPM. That Jagdtiger 8.8's being pretty aggressive, and his lower plate is pretty well angled there, but we still managed to penetrate and destroy him with that shot. IS-3's on the other side, and we still managed to sneak a shell over the houses and put one into him. So, I haven't repaired my engine yet, but I decided to do that now. I should have used the repair kit instead of the multi-purpose restoration pack. It's cheaper, but I made a mistake right there. I want to repair that so I can go down and support my team because I'm not being useful up there anymore. I need to come down here and deal with these guys head on. So the T-34-85 is staying behind that building, so let's go for the KV5, who's now on low enough health that I can kill him in one shot. And from the front, I should be able to penetrate his little R2-D2 thing, but since he's given me the side of his turret, I'll just take that. T-34-85, sneaky, but he bounces, and it's 2-on-3, so we want to try to secure this game because if we win, it's more credits, more XP, more fun, and better for your stats. So we're in a really tough spot because that T-34-85 could pop around the corner any minute, but we also want to take care of that IS-3, and now there's an M6 behind us. So I make a decision here. I'm saying, okay, screw the T-34-85. I need to kill these guys behind me. T-34-85 hasn't popped out recently. So let's get this IS-3, but he pulls forward when I get spotted again. So I'm going to kill this M6. One shot should do the trick. And now we're going to focus on the IS-3. If he faces me perfectly at a flat angle, I will penetrate about 80% of the time. And I do get one in there because he wasn't facing me head on. The IS-3's armor's pre-angled. In that case, he was angling so that the side facing me was at a flatter angle, so I was able to easily penetrate. T-34-85 is the last one left. We are now on 4 kills, so we're trying to get the Radley Walters. And we're just going to YOLO in and get him. If this guy was a super good T-34-85 driver, he could have put 1 or 2 shells into us by circling, but he backs up into some tanks. He's looking at me, and he gets stuck there. Our snapshot tracks him, ram for 61 damage, and he is able to penetrate our upper plate, which leads me to think that he's firing APCR ammo. Battle finished. Radley Walters medal secured. First class, not an ace tanker, but a first class Top Gun, Radley Walters, and Steel Wall. 4,900 damage, 1299 base XP, 36 shots, 32 hits, and 28 penetrations for 4,900 damage. Tripled, we were able to get 5,844 XP with 288 free XP and a net total of 82,000 credits. So, that was a pretty good game in the Jagdtiger 8.8. Wasn't our Master Badge Ace tanker though. For the Master Badge Ace tanker, it was on Winter Malinovka, and I pushed over the windmill hill far enough where I was able to get behind a good rock and go hull down, and there were 4 Tier 9 heavy tanks and 2 Tier 8 heavy tanks, and I just completely destroyed every single one of them. I think it was 6,000 damage, and I almost ran out of armor-piercing ammo. I had to do that well to get the Master Badge Ace tanker, which leads me to believe that people are doing really, really, really well in this thing. Of course, that was a couple weeks after it came out. Right now, there's not a whole lot of people playing it, but still, the Master Badge Ace tanker is really, really, really hard to get. So guys, that was your review of the Jagdtiger 8.8. This was the Snowstorm Jagdtiger 8.8, which came out in a bundle over the winter. However, Wargaming has said that they do plan on reintroducing this as a regular German premium tank. So if you are looking for a Tier 8 premium as a moneymaker, this would definitely be a really great tank for you, because the DPM is just fantastic compared to all other Tier 8 premium tanks, and it's just a fantastic tank for carrying. Again, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, you can leave a like down below, and you can subscribe to our channel for more awesome tank videos, tank reviews, tank replays, live gameplay, etc., etc., coming soon. See you then. Thanks.